The Gal-Torak star system was, by all measurable standards, the most secure network hub in the known universe. I should know. I helped design it. 3 suns, 17 planets, 426 orbital platforms, and one massive, constantly evolving defense grid that made military generals drool like hungry infants. Absolutely impenetrable, my supervisor Troll Dumont would say, waving his 4 upper appendages in that smug way that made me want to accidentally spill my scorching Vex coffee on his prized ceremonial uniform. The pinnacle of Vex Har engineering. I'm Zor Kadish, by the way, senior security analyst for the Gal-Torak Central Command. Or at least I was until the incident. You have heard about it, of course. Everyone has. The day our entire star system went dark. The day 3 billion citizens found themselves floating in space without navigation, communication, or life support. The day our impenetrable security was reduced to the equivalent of a child's puzzle toy. And all because of one human. One. Single. Human. Let that sink in. Impossible. Troll had sneered when the first anomalies appeared on our monitoring screens. The system auto-corrects for random fluctuations. It's nothing. But I knew better. 17 standard cycles as a security analyst teaches you to recognize patterns. And this wasn't random. It was deliberate. Coordinated. Patient. Someone was testing our defenses. Troll, I said. My voice calmed despite the panic building in my thorax. These aren't normal fluctuations. Look at the distribution pattern. They are probing for weaknesses. Nonsense. The Gal-Torak system has no weaknesses. Troll puffed out his chest sacs, a sign of dominance that worked on most Vex Har but just made me roll all 3 of my eyes, run a diagnostic and stop bothering me with phantom threats. I ran the diagnostic. Then another, and another. Each time, the system reported everything was functioning normally. But it wasn't. Something was moving through our network. Something clever. Something that knew how to mask its presence from standard detection protocols. Log entry 34921. Security analyst Zor Kadish, I recorded privately, making sure to route the entry through my personal encrypted channel. Detecting unusual access patterns in tertiary defense grid. Primary and secondary diagnostics show no irregularities, but tertiary grid energy consumption has increased by 0.03% without corresponding activity logs. Request advanced scan authorization. My request was denied. Budget constraints was the official response. Advanced scans require approval from Central Command. Current threat assessment does not warrant resource allocation. In other words, stop being paranoid, Zor. So I did what any reasonable security analyst would do when faced with bureaucratic stonewalling and potential catastrophe. I broke protocol. Computer, initiate private diagnostic sequence Kadish 793. Authorization code, Vex Har Prime. Warning, responded the artificial intelligence that managed our systems. Private diagnostic sequences are not authorized without Central Command approval. Continued action will be logged and reported. Override. Security Protocol Exception Clause 17B. Potential system compromise in progress. There was a pause as the AI processed my request. Override accepted. Initiating private diagnostic sequence Kadish 793. The holographic display in my private quarters lit up with cascading data streams. I tracked the anomalies, following their path through our systems. They were subtle, almost undetectable. But they were there, and they were everywhere. By the 3 suns, I whispered, my mouth tentacles curling in shock. How is this possible? The intrusion had already penetrated 17 layers of security. 17. Our most classified research facilities only had 15 layers. Whoever was doing this wasn't just good. They were beyond anything I'd ever encountered. I needed to alert Central Command immediately. But I also needed proof, or Troll would have me reassigned to waste management duty on the Outer Rim for wasting his precious time. Computer, trace intrusion path and identify point of origin. Working. Estimated completion time, 6 hours. 6 hours? We don't have 6 hours. Prioritize and accelerate. Unable to comply. Tracing sophisticated intrusion patterns requires detailed analysis of system logs across multiple security domains. I slammed my appendage against the console in frustration. Fine. Begin, trace, and alert me the moment you have results. While the system worked, I began my own investigation. If I couldn't find the source, maybe I could at least determine what the intruder was after. I pulled up access logs for critical systems, defense grid control, orbital platform management, planetary infrastructure, communication arrays. Nothing obvious jumped out. No major data transfers. No command overrides. Just tiny adjustments. Microscopic changes to system parameters. So small they wouldn't trigger any alarms. But together? Together they formed a pattern. A very disturbing pattern. Someone was creating backdoor access to every major system in the Gal-Thorax network, setting up control protocols that bypassed our security entirely, building a parallel command structure that would allow them to. No, I said out loud, my blood running cold. That's not possible. No one could take control of an entire star system, but the redundancies alone would prevent it. But as I dug deeper, my confidence wavered. The intrusion was more sophisticated than anything in our security protocols. Whoever designed it understood our systems better than we did. My private communication channel buzzed. It was Fen Tavik, an old academy friend who now worked in the Interstellar Relations Department. Zor, have you seen the latest reports from the human sector? Not now, Fen. I'm tracking a potential security breach. This might be related. There's chatter about a famous human hacker who's been bragging in underground forums, claims they are about to pull off something big. My tentacles twitched with interest. You define big. They didn't specify. But they used a phrase that caught our attention, turning off the lights. The intelligence thinks it might be referring to a power grid attack. A power grid? That's hardly worth bragging about. Any second-cycle security student could disrupt a local power grid. Not just any power grid, Zor. The scuttlebutt is they are targeting something massive. Something that's never been done before. I stared at my screens, at the pattern of intrusions spreading through our systems like a virus. What's the hacker's name? That's just it, Fen replied, her voice dropping to a whisper even though our channel was secure. No one knows. They go by Phantom. No identity, no history. Just a reputation for doing the impossible. The impossible, I repeated, a sense of dread settling over me. Like shutting down an entire star system? You think that's what they are planning? That's crazy, even for a human. Humans, always underestimated by my kind. Yes, they were physically inferior, soft-skinned, two-armed, endoskeleton creatures with pitifully short lifespans. But their minds? Their creativity? Their reckless, boundless capacity for both brilliance and chaos? That's what made them dangerous. Fen, I need everything you have on this Phantom, and I need it now. I will see what I can find. But Zor? Be careful. If you are right about this, well, you know how Central Command feels about security threats that make them look bad. I knew all too well. The last analyst who'd identified a major vulnerability had been quietly transferred to an observatory outpost beyond the Outer Rim. No one had heard from him since. But this was different. This wasn't just a vulnerability. This was an active intrusion. And if I was right about the scale, my computer chimed. Partial trace results available. I pulled up the data and felt my respiratory sacs constrict. Origin point identified. Sol system, planet Earth, northern hemisphere. Earth. Of course it was Earth. The cradle of humanity was, by galactic standards, a backwater planet in an unremarkable solar system. But it had produced more troublemakers, innovators, and chaos agents than any 10 other civilized worlds combined. Narrow it down, I commanded. I need a precise location. Insufficient data for precise geolocation. The intrusion signal is being routed through multiple relay points. Clever. Very clever. My communication channel buzzed again. It was Trowell this time. Analyst Kaddish. Report to Central Command immediately. That was unusual. Trowell typically communicated through official channels, not private lines. Has something happened, Supervisor? Don't ask questions. Just get here now. The connection cut off abruptly. Either something major had happened, or someone had reported my unauthorized diagnostic. Either way, I needed to move quickly. I copied the trace data to my personal device and hurried to Central Command, my mind racing with possibilities. Had they detected the intrusion? Were they finally taking the threat seriously? Or was I about to be disciplined for breaking protocol? The Central Command hub was chaos when I arrived. Analysts rushed between stations. Officers shouted orders. The massive situation display that dominated the central wall showed flashing red warning indicators across multiple systems. What's happening? I asked the nearest technician, a young Vexhar named Jix. Systematic failures across the orbital platform network, he replied, not looking up from his console. Life support, navigation, communication all going offline one by one. No explanation, no warning. It had already started. Where's Supervisor Dumont? I asked, scanning the room. Level 1 security chamber, Jix said, with the high command. The Level 1 security chamber was the most secure room in the entire system, completely isolated from all networks. The fact that High Command had convened there told me everything I needed to know about the severity of the situation. I rushed to the chamber, my security clearance barely sufficient to get me through the multiple checkpoints. Inside, I found Trowell Dumont, High Commander Vash Oram, and the heads of every major security division huddled around a physical star map. No digital technology allowed in this room. Analyst Kaddish, Commander Oram acknowledged me with a brief nod. His normally immaculate uniform looked rumpled, as if he'd been wearing it for several cycles without rest. Supervisor Dumont tells me you predicted this. All eyes turned to me. I felt a momentary surge of vindication, quickly replaced by the sobering reality of our situation. I detected anomalies in the system, I explained. Subtle intrusions that bypassed our standard security protocols. I have been tracking them for the past cycle. And you didn't report these findings through proper channels? One of the division heads asked, accusation heavy in his tone. I submitted a request for advanced scanning. It was denied. Trowell had the decency to look embarrassed, his skin flushing a deeper blue. The patterns were too subtle to trigger our standard alerts. That's because they were designed to be, I said. Whoever is doing this understands our security architecture intimately, but they have created backdoors into every major system. Impossible, another division head scoffed. Our architecture is classified. No outsider could possibly understand it well enough to— A human could, I interrupted. Specifically, a human hacker known as Phantom. The room fell silent. Explain, Commander Oram ordered. I connected my personal device to the secure display system and showed them what I'd found. The intrusion patterns, the backdoor accesses, the modified command protocols. They have been planning this for months, maybe years, I explained. Slowly infiltrating our systems, setting up alternate control paths, all leading back to a single access point. Where? Commander Oram demanded. Earth. Though I couldn't narrow it down further. Of course it's Earth, Trowell muttered. It's always the humans. But why? Asked the head of planetary defense. What do they hope to gain? This isn't a military strike. They haven't disabled our defenses or weapons systems. No, I agreed. Because this isn't about military advantage or territorial gain. This is about something else entirely. What? I hesitated, knowing how it would sound. Based on intelligence from the Interstellar Relations Department and the pattern of systems being targeted, I believe they are doing this for entertainment. Entertainment? Trowell's voice rose in disbelief. You are suggesting a human is shutting down an entire star system for fun? That's exactly what I'm suggesting, and the evidence supports it. Look at the pattern of shutdowns. Orbital platforms first, working inward. Maximum disruption with minimum casualties. They are not trying to kill us. They are trying to show us they can control us. Commander Oram studied the display, his expression grim. How do we stop it? We can't, I said simply. Not through the network. They have too much control already. We'd be fighting them on terrain they have had months to prepare. So what do you suggest, Analyst Kaddish? That we surrender our entire star system to a human prankster? No, I replied, an idea forming. I suggest we fight fire with fire, and we need our own hacker. Vexhar don't hack, Thrall said dismissively. We build secure systems. We defend. We don't engage in such underhanded tactics. And that's exactly why we are losing, I countered. We need someone who thinks like our adversary. Someone creative, unpredictable. You are suggesting we employ a human? The very idea seemed to disgust several of the division heads. Not just any human, I said. We need someone exceptional. Someone who can match Phantom skill for skill. Commander Oram paced the room, considering. Even if we agreed to this unorthodox approach, where would we find such an individual? And how would we ensure their loyalty? I have a contact, I said. Someone I met during my rotation at the Galactic Security Summit last cycle. A human security specialist named Jack Harrow. Never heard of him, Thrall said. You wouldn't have. He doesn't seek publicity. But in certain circles he's legendary. He's stopped more network intrusions than anyone in the known galaxy. Can he be trusted? Commander Oram asked. As much as any human can be, I replied honestly. But he has a code, and he enjoys a challenge. The room fell silent as the High Command considered my proposal. Outside our secure chamber, the crisis continued to unfold. More platforms going dark. More systems falling under enemy control. Make contact, Commander Oram finally ordered. But Kaddish, if this human makes things worse, it's on your head. Understood, Commander. I left the security chamber and headed for my private communication station. Contacting Jack would be tricky. He valued his privacy and rarely used the same communication channel twice. But we had an emergency protocol. I sent a simple message through 7 different relay points, each one encrypted with a different cipher. To anyone else, it would look like random data, but Jack would recognize it. The vault needs a locksmith. Then I waited. 3 agonizing minutes passed before my console lit up with a response. Zor, my favorite tentacled worrywart. What kind of trouble are you in this time? Despite everything, I smiled. Jack's irreverent attitude toward galactic security protocols had always both irritated and amused me. The worst kind, I replied. Someone's taking over the entire Gal-Thorax system. Platform by platform, system by system. Impressive, Jack responded, and I could almost hear the whistle I knew would accompany that word if we were speaking in person. Any idea who? A human hacker. Goes by Phantom. A pause. Then? Ah. I was afraid you'd say that name. You know them? Know them? Know of them? Absolutely. They are a legend in certain circles. Never been caught. Never been identified. Some people think they are not even a single person, but a collective. What can you tell me about them? Not much beyond the rumors. They are selective about their targets. They only go after what they consider impossible systems. And they never do permanent damage. Tell that to the 3 million citizens currently floating in disabled orbital platforms, I replied acidly. Are they in danger? Not immediate danger. Life support is designed to function independently for at least 7 cycles, even if all other systems fail. But navigation and communication are down. They are effectively stranded. But alive, Jack pointed out. That's Phantom style. They want to prove they can, not kill people. It's about the challenge, not the harm. That's supposed to make us feel better? No, but it should give you hope. This isn't malicious destruction. It's, well, think of it as an extremely elaborate form of graffiti. Phantom was here. Can you help us stop them? Another pause, longer this time. It won't be easy. If they have already got control of your systems, trying to kick them out will be like trying to remove a parasite that's wrapped itself around your vital organs. Pull too hard, and you might cause more damage than they would. So what do we do? You don't do anything, Jack said. I will handle it. But I will need full access to your command systems. I hesitated. Giving an outsider, a human, no less access to our most secure networks went against everything in the security protocols I'd sworn to uphold. That's problematic. More problematic than letting Phantom maintain control? Come on, Zor. You contacted me because you need outside help. Don't handcuff me before I even start. He was right, of course. But convincing High Command would be nearly impossible. I will have to get approval. While you are doing that, send me everything you have on the intrusion patterns. I want to see how they got in. I transmitted the data I'd collected, including my trace results. Got it, Jack confirmed moments later. This is HM? What? Sophisticated work. Very sophisticated. Whoever Phantom is, they are good. Really good. Can you stop them? Stop them? Maybe. Track them? Definitely. Track them? You mean find out who they are? That's exactly what I mean. Phantom's been a thorn in the side of every major security organization for years. Interpol, FBI, MSS, Mossad, they have all tried and failed to identify them. But they have never had access to a system this complex while Phantom was actively using it. And you think you can trace them through our network? I know I can, Jack replied, confidence radiating through his words. Every hacker, even the best ones, leaves traces. Digital fingerprints. The more complex the operation, the more fingerprints. And this? This is the most complex hack I have ever seen. A flicker of hope sparked within me. If we could identify Phantom, we could stop them. Maybe even prevent future attacks. What do you need from us? Besides full access? Don't try to counter the intrusion yourselves. You will just alert them to my presence. Let them think they are still in control. People are stranded, Jack. Systems are failing. We can't just do nothing. Not nothing. Focus on emergency response. It supplies to the affected platforms. Establish alternative communication methods, but don't touch the network. That's my playground now. I relayed Jack's requests to High Command. As expected, they were resistant to the idea of giving a human full access to our systems. But as more platforms went dark and the crisis deepened, their opposition weakened. Very well, Commander Oram finally conceded. Grant this human access. But monitor everything he does. That won't work, I explained. If we monitor him through the system, Phantom will detect it. We have to give him true autonomy. Unacceptable. No outsider gets unsupervised access to Gal-Thorax command systems, but I took a risk. Commander, with all due respect, our secure systems are already compromised. The damage is done. Now we need to focus on recovery and prevention. Thrall stepped forward, surprising me. Analyst Kaddish is right. Our conventional security has failed. We must adapt. Commander Oram looked from Thrall to me, then to the emergency status display showing more and more systems going dark. You have 12 hours, he said finally. If your human hasn't made progress by then, we disconnect everything and resort to manual control. Disconnecting won't help, I warned. The intrusion has already modified the base programming of our systems. Even offline, they will follow Phantom's commands unless we can remove their alterations. 12 hours, Commander Oram repeated, turning away to signal the conversation was over. I hurried back to my station and contacted Jack. You are in. Full access granted. But we only have 12 hours before High Command pulls the plug. More than enough time, Jack replied. I'm connecting now. I watched as Jack's security protocols interfaced with our systems. Unlike Phantom's subtle intrusion, Jack made no attempt to hide his presence. He moved through our network like a storm, leaving digital trails that any monitoring system would detect. You are being obvious, I warned him. Phantom will see you coming. That's the point, Jack replied. I want them to see me, to focus on me. Why would you want that? Because while they are watching what I'm doing with my right hand, they won't notice what I'm doing with my left. Digital sleight of hand, Zor. It's an art form. I didn't fully understand Jack's strategy, but I trusted his expertise. While he worked, I coordinated with emergency response teams, making sure supplies reached the stranded platforms and alternative communication methods were established. 3 hours into Jack's 12-hour window, my console lit up with an incoming message. Zor, I have got something. You have identified Phantom? Better. I have located them. Physically located them. My tentacles curled with excitement. Where? North American continent. A place called Saguaro, Arizona. Population 68,000. Not exactly a tech hub. Are you sure? Positive. I traced their control signals back through 17 different relay points, but they got sloppy with the last one. Probably didn't expect anyone to get past the first 16. I immediately contacted Commander Oram. We have a location for Phantom. Where? A small settlement on Earth called Saguaro, Arizona. Excellent. I will dispatch an extraction team immediately. Wait, I cautioned. We need to be careful. If Phantom realizes we have located them, they might trigger some kind of fail-safe mechanism. What do you suggest? Let Jack continue working. He's making progress on countering the intrusion. If we can regain control of our systems first, the extraction will be safer. Commander Oram considered this. Very well. The extraction team will prepare, but wait for your signal. I relayed this to Jack, who approved of the plan. Smart thinking, Zor. I'm still working on untangling their control protocols. It's like a digital Gordian knot. How much longer? Hard to say. They have built-in layers of redundancy. Every time I shut down one control path, 2 more activate. That doesn't sound promising. Oh, I will beat them, Jack assured me. It's just taking longer than I'd hoped. How are things on your end? Bad and getting worse. 43% of orbital platforms are now completely offline, but planetary systems are starting to show disruptions, and public panic is spreading. Tell your people to stay calm. Phantom won't risk lives. That's not their style. You seem very confident about what they will and won't do. Jack paused before responding. Let's just say I understand how they think. That gave me pause. Jack, how exactly do you know so much about Phantom? Another long pause. Professional interest. They have been the white whale of the security community for years. Everyone studies their methods. Something in his tone made my suspicions flare, but before I could press further, alarm klaxons began blaring throughout Central Command. What's happening? Jack demanded over our still-open channel. I checked the emergency displays. Primary life support systems on the central orbital platforms are failing. This doesn't make sense. You said Phantom wouldn't risk lives. They wouldn't, Jack insisted, his voice tight with concern. This has to be a mistake or a malfunction. Tell that to the million citizens about to suffocate in space. I rushed to join the emergency response team. Backup life support systems were activating, but they wouldn't last more than a few hours. We needed to restore primary systems immediately. Jack, I called through my communicator. We need those systems back online now. Working on it. But something's wrong. These new shutdowns don't match Phantom's pattern. It's like someone else has entered the system. Another hacker. Or Phantom has a partner. I don't know, but these new intrusions are different, more aggressive, less careful. The situation was deteriorating rapidly, more systems failing, more lives at risk. And now uncertainty about who was even responsible. As I coordinated emergency responses and Jack fought to regain control of our systems, a chilling question formed in my mind. What if Phantom wasn't working alone? What if this was something bigger than one human's idea of entertainment? And what if we were already too late to stop it? The emergency coordinator's voice cut through the chaos of Central Command like a plasma blade. I watched in horror as another red warning indicator flashed on the main display. Nexus 7. Residential District. Population 78,000. Evacuation status? Commander Oram demanded, his normally composed demeanor cracking under pressure. Emergency shuttles deployed, but we are estimating only 60% evacuation capacity, responded Senior Officer Pel Norix, her voice clinically detached despite the implications. The navigation systems are compromised. The shuttles are flying blind. 78,000 citizens. 60% evacuation capacity. The math was brutal. Jack. I hissed into my communicator, ducking into a side corridor for privacy. People are going to die. I know. His voice sounded strained, almost frantic. Not the confident, cocky human I was used to dealing with. I'm trying to isolate the life support commands, but whoever's doing this has buried them under layers of encryption I have never seen before. You said this wasn't Phantom style. It isn't. I told you, something's changed. The attack pattern is different, more aggressive, less elegant. So Phantom has a partner? A pause, or a rival. That possibility hadn't occurred to me. A rival? Who would? The hacking community isn't exactly a friendly neighborhood social club, Zor. It's competitive, ruthless sometimes. If another hacker discovered what Phantom was doing, they might try to one-up them, I finished, the pieces clicking into place, by causing actual casualties. Exactly. And Phantom might not even know it's happening. I rejoined the command center, my mind racing. If Jack was right, we were caught in the middle of a human hacking competition, with 3 billion lives as unwilling game pieces. Commander, I approached Oram, keeping my voice low. We need to accelerate the extraction plan. He glanced at me sharply. The human hasn't regained control of our systems yet, but the situation has changed. We believe there may be a second hacker involved, more dangerous than the first. Commander Oram's facial ridges darkened the Vexhar equivalent of turning pale. 2 of them? Working together? Not together. Against each other. Using our star system as their battlefield. Oram absorbed this for a moment, then turned to his communications officer. Contact the extraction team. New orders, proceed immediately to the target location. Priority Alpha. Yes, Commander. I returned to my communication with Jack. The extraction team is moving in. Good, but they need to be careful. If Phantom detects them, they are our best. Trained in covert operations on primitive worlds. Jack made a sound that I recognized as human laughter, though there was no humor in it. Primitive? Earth may not have interstellar travel, Zor, but our surveillance technology is anything but primitive. Your team will need to be exceptionally careful. I will relay the warning. Meanwhile, can you do anything about Nexus 7's life support? I have almost isolated the command structure. Give me 2 more minutes. 2 minutes. For the citizens of Nexus 7, that might be too long. I watched the evacuation progress on the main display. Emergency shuttles darting between platforms like insects. Thousands of personal distress beacons activating as people donned emergency vacuum suits. Nexus 7 reaching critical oxygen levels, announced the monitoring officer. Estimated time to complete atmospheric failure, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Jack's voice came through my communicator. I have got it. Routing emergency override to primary life support systems. The command center fell silent as we all watched the status indicators. For an agonizing 30 seconds, nothing changed. Then slowly, the critical warning on Nexus 7 switched from flashing red to steady yellow. Life support stabilizing on Nexus 7, confirmed the monitoring officer. Operating at 28% capacity, sufficient to maintain survivable conditions. A collective exhalation of relief swept through the command center. 28% wasn't ideal, but it would keep people alive until evacuation was complete. "Good work," I told Jack. "Don't celebrate yet," he replied grimly. "I have only fixed this platform. There are hundreds more at risk, and I can't play whack-a-mole with each one individually. We need to find the root access point and shut it down. The extraction team is on its way to Phantom's location. Once they have them in custody. That only solves half our problem if I'm right about a second hacker. And we still don't know who they are or where they are operating from." A troubling thought occurred to me. Could the second hacker be using Phantom's access points, following the digital trail they created? It's possible. Phantom breached your defenses, creating pathways that others could potentially discover and exploit. It's like imagine someone tunneling under a fortress wall. Once the tunnel exists, anyone who finds it can use it. So even if we capture Phantom, the second hacker remains a threat. Exactly. And possibly a bigger threat. Someone willing to cause actual harm. My console chimed with an incoming priority message. It was from Fen Tavik in Interstellar Relations. "Zor, I found something about your Phantom. There was a major hack of the Earth financial network 2 cycles ago, never publicly attributed, but intelligence sources believe Phantom was responsible. How does this help us? Because of how it ended. According to our sources, Phantom had control of the entire system, could have stolen trillions in human currency, but instead just left a message proving they'd been there, then restored everything to normal. No damage, no theft. That matches what Jack told me about their methods. Yes, but here's the interesting part. Afterward, there was chatter on human networks about copycats, other hackers trying to replicate what Phantom had done, but with less restraint. Copycats, I repeated, the pieces falling into place. Then I need names. Anyone specifically mentioned in connection with these events. There was one. A hacker who calls themselves Eclipse. Supposed to be almost as skilled as Phantom, but with a reputation for destructiveness. Eclipse. Could this be our second hacker? I relayed this information to Jack, who went silent for several seconds. Eclipse, he finally said, his voice unnaturally flat. That complicates things. You know them? I know of them. They are, let's just say they have a personal vendetta against Phantom. Have for years. Why? Professional jealousy, mostly. Phantom gets all the acclaim in the hacking community for doing the impossible without causing harm. Eclipse has always been seen as second best, more skilled than most, but lacking Phantom's finesse and ethical boundaries. And now they are both in our system? So it seems. Eclipse must have been monitoring Phantom, waiting for their next big move. When they realized what Phantom was targeting, they decided to hijack the operation and turn it lethal, I finished, to prove they are better. That would be consistent with their MO. I checked the mission clock. The extraction team would reach Saguaro, Arizona within the hour. But now I wasn't sure that would be enough. Jack, if we capture Phantom, can you use their access to lock Eclipse out of our systems? Maybe, if Phantom cooperates. But there's no guarantee they will. Why wouldn't they? Eclipse is perverting their work, causing actual harm. Hackers are complicated, Zor. Even those with ethics like Phantom don't typically help authorities. It goes against their nature. I pondered this problem while monitoring the ongoing crisis. More platforms were experiencing system failures. Emergency responses were stretched to breaking point. And the citizens of Gal Torax were growing increasingly panicked as communications remained spotty. Thrall approached me, looking haggard. Status update? Our human expert has managed to stabilize some critical systems, I reported. But we are still fighting a losing battle. For every system we recover, 2 more fail. And the extraction team? En route. But I hesitated, then decided Traal needed to know everything. We now believe there are 2 human hackers involved. The original target, who calls themselves Phantom, and a second, more dangerous one known as Eclipse. Traal's facial tentacles twisted in what I recognized as disgust. 2 of them, using our star system for some kind of human competition. That's our current assessment. Barbaric, Traal spat. Absolutely barbaric. This is why humans should never have been granted access to interstellar communication networks. I refrained from pointing out that technically they hadn't been. Earth was still classified as a pre-contact civilization, officially unaware of the wider galactic community. But the fact that some humans had nonetheless discovered our networks and learned to access them spoke volumes about their ingenuity. Sir, I said instead, our priority needs to be regaining control of our systems and ensuring citizens' safety. Assigning blame can wait. Traal glared at me but nodded reluctantly. Agreed. What do you recommend? We continue supporting our human experts' efforts while the extraction team does its work. And we prepare for the possibility that capturing Phantom may not solve our problem. You mean we may need to locate and extract this Eclipse as well? Exactly. Traal's communicator buzzed. He checked it, then looked up with surprise. The extraction team has arrived at the target location. That was faster than expected. Already? They weren't due for another 42 minutes. They pushed their craft to maximum velocity. Given the escalating crisis, they felt the time saving justified the risk. I couldn't argue with that. Are they proceeding with extraction? Yes, they are approaching the target building now. I immediately contacted Jack. The extraction team has reached Phantom's location. What? They weren't supposed to be there for another hour. They accelerated their timeline given the situation. No, they need to wait. I'm still. Jack's voice cut off abruptly. My communicator showed the connection had been severed. Jack? I tried to re-establish the link. Jack, can you hear me? Nothing. I turned to Traal in alarm. Something's wrong. I have lost contact with our human expert. Could it be related to the extraction operation? Possibly. We need to contact the team. Tell them to proceed with extreme caution. But before Traal could relay the order, the main display in Central Command flashed with an incoming transmission. When it connected, I found myself staring at a human face. Not Jack. Someone younger. Female, according to human gender presentations. With facial decorations, piercings, I believe they were called, and hair colored in vibrant purple and black patterns. Hello, Bug Eyes, the human greeted us with a smirk. Looking for your hacker friend? Commander Oram stepped forward, his posture rigid with authority. Identify yourself, human. You can call me Eclipse, she replied, confirming our fears. And I'm currently the one holding your entire star system by the throat, so maybe watch the tone. What have you done with our expert? I demanded. Eclipse laughed a harsh, unpleasant sound. Your expert is temporarily offline. Don't worry, he will wake up with nothing worse than a headache. I just needed him out of my way for a bit. How did you access his systems? Please. Jack's good, but I have been watching him work for hours. Wasn't hard to trace his signal and deliver a little software surprise. This was bad. Without Jack, our already slim chances of regaining control had just become virtually non-existent. What do you want? Commander Oram asked, his voice carefully controlled. Now we are talking. Eclipse leaned forward, her expression shifting from amusement to intensity. I want recognition. I want the galaxy to know who really brought the mighty Gal Thorax system to its knees. You are killing innocent civilians, I said. She waved a hand dismissively. No one's dying yet. I have only restricted life support, not shut it down completely. Consider it motivation for you to acknowledge my superiority. Your superiority to whom? Traal asked. To Phantom, of course. The so-called greatest hacker in human history. Eclipse's face twisted with contempt. Always so proud of their no-harm policy. Their elegant solutions. Well, guess what? I just hijacked their greatest hack ever. Took control right out from under them. And now everyone will know who the real master is. So Jack had been right. This was about professional rivalry, with our entire star system as collateral damage. Commander Oram stepped closer to the display. If recognition is what you seek, we can provide it. We will formally acknowledge your skills in exchange for restoring our systems. Eclipse laughed again. Nice try. But I need more than just your word. I need proof. I need a broadcast to every platform, every planet in your system. A full confession that your supposedly impenetrable security was defeated not once but twice by human hackers. Such a broadcast would cause panic, Traal objected. That's really not my problem, Eclipse replied coldly. You have 30 minutes to prepare the broadcast. After that, I start shutting down life support systems permanently, starting with your most populated platforms. The transmission cut off. Can we trace that? Commander Oram immediately asked our communications officer. Negative, sir. The signal was bounced through too many relay points. I turned to Traal and Oram. We need to restart the extraction operation. Phantom is still our best hope. How? Traal demanded. We have no idea what's happening with the extraction team. And even if we capture Phantom, there's no guarantee they will help us against Eclipse. It's still our best option, I insisted. Eclipse has clearly been following Phantom's digital trail. If anyone knows how to stop them, it would be Phantom. Commander Oram nodded. Agreed. Communications, re-establish contact with the extraction team immediately. While they worked on that, I tried again to reach Jack. Still nothing. Had Eclipse's software surprise simply knocked him offline or done something more permanent? I had no way to know. My private channel buzzed. It was Fen again. Zor. I have been monitoring Earth communication channels. There's something strange happening in Saguaro, Arizona. Our extraction team? No, well, yes, they are there, but they are not alone. There are reports of local security forces police. They call them converging on the same location. And orbital surveillance shows what appears to be a firefight in progress. A firefight? My blood ran cold. Extraction teams were under strict orders to avoid violence on pre-contact worlds. Between whom? Unclear. But thermal imaging shows multiple heat signatures consistent with human weapons discharge. This was spiraling out of control. Not only was our star system being held hostage, but we were now at risk of compromising the non-interference protocols that governed relations with pre-contact worlds. Commander, I said urgently, we have a problem with the extraction. Before I could explain further, the communications officer spoke up. Sir, I have re-established contact with the team leader. The main display switched to show a Vexhar extraction operative. The image was shaky, and I could hear the distinctive sound of human projectile weapons in the background. Report, Commander Oram ordered. Sir, we have encountered resistance, the operative replied, ducking as something loud exploded nearby. The target location was under surveillance by local security forces. When we approached, they engaged. What about the target? Have you located Phantom? Negative. The dwelling appears to be empty. But we found evidence of recent occupation and significant computing equipment. Empty? I repeated in disbelief, but Jack's trace was certain. We are continuing to search, but under fire from local authorities. Commander Oram's expression hardened. Disengage immediately. Return to your vessel and withdraw. Sir? What about the target? If they are not at the location, continuing the engagement only risks further protocol violations. Withdraw now. That's an order. The operative acknowledged and the transmission ended. Now what? Traal asked, not bothering to hide his frustration. I checked the mission clock. 24 minutes until Eclipse's deadline. We need to regroup, I said. If Phantom isn't at the location Jack identified. Then your human expert was wrong, Trawl finished. Deliberately misled us. I wanted to defend Jack, but I couldn't dismiss the possibility. What did I really know about him? We'd met briefly at a security conference, exchanged some ideas, set up an emergency contact protocol. But his reputation, his skills, his knowledge of Phantom, all of that I had taken on faith. We still need to deal with Eclipse, Commander Oram said, bringing us back to the immediate crisis. Options? We could attempt to comply with her demands, Trawl suggested reluctantly. Make the broadcast. Buy ourselves time to evacuate the platforms. And then what? I challenged. She will just make new demands. People like Eclipse don't stop once they have leverage. Then what do you suggest, Analyst Kaddish, since your previous recommendations have proven so effective? I ignored the sarcasm. We fight back. On our terms. How? Our networks are compromised. Our human expert is incapacitated. And our extraction team failed to secure Phantom. I took a deep breath, my mind racing through possibilities. We still have one advantage. Eclipse doesn't know the extraction failed. She thinks we are closing in on Phantom. And how does that help us? Because she's afraid of Phantom. That's what this is all about, proving she's better. We can use that fear. Commander Oram leaned forward with interest. Explain. We create a false narrative. Tell Eclipse that we have captured Phantom, and they have agreed to help us in exchange for leniency. She will never believe that, Trawl objected. She might, if we make it convincing enough. The key is to create doubt. Make her think her position isn't as secure as she believes. A bluff, Commander Oram said thoughtfully. It could buy us time. Time for what? Trawl demanded. Eclipse has already demonstrated she can maintain control, even with our human expert working against her. I hesitated, then voiced the idea that had been forming in my mind. What if? What if we don't need to capture Phantom? What if they are already helping us? Trawl and Commander Oram stared at me with identical expressions of confusion. Jack, I said simply. What if Jack is Phantom? The command center fell silent. Think about it, I continued. He knows Phantom's methods in detail. He understood the intrusion pattern immediately. He was able to track the origin point when our best analysts couldn't. That's circumstantial at best, Trawl dismissed. And if he is Phantom, that means he's responsible for this crisis in the first place. Not for the life support failures. That's Eclipse. But for the initial breach that made them possible. Which he's been helping us fight? I pointed out. If Jack is Phantom, then he's been working to undo his own hack ever since Eclipse escalated it. Commander Oram rubbed his facial ridges, a sign of deep thought among our kind. It's a provocative theory. Analyst Kaddish. But it doesn't solve our immediate problem. Jack, whether Phantom or not, is currently out of communication, and Eclipse's deadline approaches. Then we proceed with the bluff, I said. Tell Eclipse we have Phantom in custody and they are cooperating. Create uncertainty. And meanwhile, we continue trying to reach Jack. After a brief discussion, Commander Oram approved the plan. Our communications team prepared a carefully crafted message to Eclipse, including just enough technical details to make our claim of capturing Phantom credible. As we worked, I kept trying to reach Jack. On the 13th attempt, to my surprise, the connection went through. Zor. You there? His voice sounded groggy, distant. Jack. What happened? Eclipse. She hit my system with some kind of targeted EMP pulse. Fried most of my equipment. I'm on a backup device now, but my capabilities are severely limited. Are you okay? Besides a splitting headache and the knowledge that a psychopath has control of your star system? Just peachy. Despite everything, I found myself smiling at his typical human sarcasm. We are implementing a plan to buy time, I told him, telling Eclipse we have captured Phantom. A long pause. Then, carefully, interesting approach. Think she will buy it? We are hoping to create doubt, make her reconsider her position. Another pause. Not bad thinking. But Eclipse isn't easily rattled. Jack, I hesitated, then decided to ask directly. Are you Phantom? The silence that followed was answer enough. How long have you known? He finally asked, his voice quieter. I just figured it out. It explains why you know so much about Phantom's methods. Why you were able to track the intrusion so easily. And yet not stop it, Jack Phantom said bitterly. Eclipse has outplayed me this time. Why did you do it? Hack our system in the first place. He sighed. The usual reasons. Challenge, curiosity. Pride. Your Galtorax network is legendary in certain circles. Supposedly unhackable. I wanted to prove it wasn't. By shutting down an entire star system? Not permanently. Just long enough to make my point. No one was supposed to get hurt. And yet people are about to die because of what you started. I know, he admitted, and I heard genuine regret in his voice. That's why I agreed to help when you contacted me. I needed to fix this before Eclipse could cause real damage. Can you still help us? Even with your equipment damaged? I'm trying. But Eclipse has locked me out of most access points. She's good, almost as good as me. And right now she has the advantage. Commander Oram approached, indicating that our message to Eclipse was ready to send. We are about to contact Eclipse, I told Jack. Claim we have captured Phantom. Wait, he said urgently. Let me think. This could actually work, but not the way you are planning. What do you mean? Eclipse wants recognition. Wants to prove she's better than me. So let's give her exactly what she wants, a direct confrontation. How? Tell her you have captured me. That I have admitted defeat and acknowledged her superiority. But that I have challenged her to prove it by facing me in a direct hack-off. A what? A hacking competition. One-on-one. Her versus me with your system as the battlefield. Our system is not a game board, Jack. It is to her. That's what you need to understand. This was never about your people or your technology. It's about ego. About reputation. If I challenge her directly, she will accept. She won't be able to resist the opportunity to defeat me publicly. And then what? You two have some kind of hacker duel while 3 billion lives hang in the balance? Not exactly, Jack replied, and I could hear the smile in his voice. While she's focused on beating me, you will have your opportunity. Opportunity for what? To shut everything down. Completely. Power down every node in your central network. A full system reset. That would be catastrophic. Emergency systems would fail. Communication would be impossible. Navigation would be temporarily disrupted, yes. But it would also purge both our access. Clean slate. And I'm betting your engineers can bring the most critical systems back online manually faster than Eclipse can re-establish her control. It was a desperate plan, risky beyond measure. But as I looked at the mission clock, 18 minutes to Eclipse's deadline, I realized it might be our only chance. I explained Jack's idea to Commander Oram and Traal. After initial skepticism, they reluctantly agreed it was worth trying. But Commander Oram stipulated, the moment Eclipse engages with this competition, we begin emergency shutdown procedures. We won't wait to see who wins this human game. Agreed, I said. Then relayed this to Jack. Perfect, he replied. Get ready to send your message to Eclipse. And Zor? For what it's worth, I'm sorry about all this. I didn't respond. Apologies wouldn't help the millions of citizens currently at risk. Only actions mattered now. We sent our message to Eclipse. The response came almost immediately. Nice try, her face appeared on our display again, smirking. But I know you don't have Phantom. Your extraction team had a little run-in with local authorities in Saguaro. Made quite a mess before they ran away. So much for our bluff. But then Jack's voice came through on an open channel. Hello, Eclipse. Been a while. Her expression changed instantly, shock replacing smugness. Phantom, what are you? Working with the bugs? Ironic, I know. But you forced my hand when you turned this into a potential massacre. So the great Phantom has a conscience, Eclipse sneered. How disappointing. What I have is a challenge for you, Jack replied. You think you are better than me? Prove it. One-on-one. Your access against mine. Winner takes control of the Gal Thorax system. Eclipse's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Why would I agree to that when I already have control? Because you don't just want control. You want recognition. You want me to admit you are the best. This is your chance to beat me where everyone can see it. I watched Eclipse's face, seeing the conflict play out across her features. Suspicion warring with ego. Caution against the desire for vindication. Fine, she finally said. Your reputation ends today, Phantom. We will see about that, Jack replied calmly. Standard protocols? Standard protocols. No outside assistance. Pure skill against skill. Agreed. Beginning in 3, 2, 1, the main display in Central Command split, showing cascading code on both sides. Jack and Eclipse had begun their duel. Prepare for emergency shutdown, Commander Oram ordered quietly. All personnel to backup stations. Emergency communications to switch to analog systems. As Vexhar technicians rushed to comply, I watched the dueling code streams with fascination. It was like witnessing an alien language which, in a sense, it was. Human programming executed at a level of complexity I could barely comprehend. Status? I asked Jack through our private channel. She's good, he replied, his voice tight with concentration. Very good. But predictable. Standard attack patterns just executed with exceptional skill. Can you keep her occupied long enough? Trying. But she's suspicious. Keeps checking peripheral systems. I relayed this to Commander Oram, who nodded. We are almost ready. 2 more minutes. On the main display, Eclipse's side of the code stream suddenly shifted. Wait, she said, her voice sharp with alarm. What are you doing with the life support protocols? Just making sure you don't get any ideas about following through on your threats, Jack replied smoothly. Can't have you shutting down critical systems while we are competing. You are stalling, Eclipse accused. Why would you? Her eyes widened suddenly. They are planning something. Now, Commander Oram ordered. Throughout the Gal Thorax system, emergency shutdown commands executed simultaneously. Platform by platform, system by system, our entire network went dark. Eclipse's face on the display registered shock, then fury. You cheating. Her transmission cut off as our communications system shut down. The command center plunged into darkness for 3 seconds before emergency lighting activated. Status report. Commander Oram demanded. Emergency shutdown complete, responded the systems officer. All network nodes offline. Analog communications functioning on emergency channels. Begin manual restart of critical systems. Priority 1, life support. Priority 2, emergency navigation. Priority 3, communication relays. As our engineers worked to restore essential functions without reconnecting to the compromised network, I tried to reach Jack through our emergency channel. Jack? Can you hear me? Static, then his voice faint but clear. I'm here. Did it work? Shutdown complete. We are restoring critical systems manually. Good. Without network access, Eclipse is locked out. For now. For now? Now. She will try to regain access once you bring systems back online. You need to patch the vulnerabilities I exploited before that happens. Our security team is already working on it. Jack, what about you? A pause. What about me? You hacked our system. Caused this crisis, whether you intended to or not. Are you asking if I expect to be punished? Probably should be. But I'm guessing catching me isn't your top priority right now. He was right. With millions of citizens in danger and our entire infrastructure in chaos, pursuing one human hacker, even phantom, was a luxury we couldn't afford. "Will you help us secure our systems?" I asked instead. "Truly secure them this time?" Another pause. "I will send you a full breakdown of the vulnerabilities I exploited and recommendations for fixing them. It's the least I can do." "Thank you." "Don't thank me, Zor. This was my fault. I never imagined it would go this far. You couldn't have known Eclipse would hijack your hack. I should have considered the possibility. In my world, reputation is everything. I should have known someone would try to steal mine." Over the next 47 hours, our engineers worked tirelessly to restore essential systems while implementing the security patches Jack provided. Gradually, platform by platform, the Gal-Thorax system came back to life more secure than before. The final death toll from the crisis, 16 citizens. 16 too many, but far fewer than the millions who might have died if Eclipse had followed through on her threats. Of Eclipse herself, we found no trace. Earth authorities investigated the disturbance in Saguaro, Arizona, but by then both hackers had covered their tracks. Jack assured me that Eclipse would be laying low after such a public failure, her reputation in the hacking community tarnished by her defeat. As for Jack Phantom, he kept his word, providing comprehensive security recommendations that our engineers implemented across all systems. Our final communication was brief. "Will you keep hacking?" I asked him. "Probably," he admitted. "It's what I do. But I will be more careful about who might be following in my footsteps." "And the Gal-Thorax system? Will you try again?" "No need. I already proved it could be done. Besides," and I could hear the smile in his voice, "you have patched all the vulnerabilities I found. It would be an entirely new challenge now. Is that all this was to you? A challenge?" "At first, yes, but now it's a reminder of the responsibility that comes with skill." Eclipse wanted recognition without caring about consequences. I won't make that mistake again. 3 cycles later, I was promoted to head of security for the Gal-Thorax system. My first official act was to establish a specialized division focused on human network intrusion tactics, both defending against them and learning from them. Because if there's one thing this crisis taught us, it's that underestimating humans is a dangerous mistake. Their physical forms may be unimpressive, their technology primitive by our standards, their lifespans barely a blink in cosmic terms. But their minds, their creativity, their relentless drive to prove what's possible. That's what makes them the most formidable species in the galaxy. And why I keep a secure quantum channel open to Earth. Just in case we need Jack's help again someday. Or in case he needs ours. Because in this vast universe, with all its dangers and wonders, having a human hacker on your side might just be the best security system of all. Even if they are the one who hacked you first.